Hi, this is Christopher Sean, Kaz from Star Wars Resistance. And I want to invite you to join me on Saturday, September 17th for Podathon 2022. I'll be hanging with my friends from Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. And I want to see you there. Podathon is a day-long charity podcasting event that raises money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The day is going to be filled with amazing shows, awesome guests, and lots of fun. Mark your calendars now and visit www.thepodathon.com for more information about the event and how you can donate directly to Make-A-Wish. Can't wait to see you there, and hey, may the Force be with you.
Gentlemen, it was a whirlwind weekend of celebrating your grandmother's 70th birthday.
Yeah, well, it was lots of driving back and forth, but it was fun to see some family.
Yes, but we added a little extra driving and a late night on Friday.
Yeah. We did, and we walked out even more excited about Andor than we were before.
Absolutely. We will share our thoughts on the Andor sneak peek along with more alternative perspective on the upheaval in the DCEU. And Sam will get us ready to learn. Return. Is that what it says?
Yeah, we're going to return to the land.
We're going to return to the land.
Too. You can write this stuff. You
to
just can't
return
say
to the
it.
land of elves and hobbits. Mm-hmm. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to that.
Right, exactly. So we finished. we finished Daredevil.
Yes.
It was better than I even thought. Then you sold it to me.
It's great. I mean, I can't describe how amazing that show is. And we spent a solid 30 minutes after we finished it just talking about
that end scene, which we didn't get to talk about on the show because I hadn't finished it. So BB Nate, here's get you before we start the show before the show. Go.
Yeah, the show before the show. I mean, it's the whole scene before Father Lantom's funeral with Matt and Maggie, where he's just talking about God's plan and he's talking about what Father Lantom told him and all that stuff. It's probably my favorite scene in the series, and I just love it. But I couldn't talk about it. I was gonna have the whole speech written out and
you were ready, but we hadn't finished. But you hadn't
finished it.
It would have been a big spoiler.
Funny. Sammy, the first time you watched it, didn't even remember that scene at all.
No,
you were distracted.
There was a lot going on at that point, so I didn't even catch it. So I'm glad I decided to take a break from my studies. Like y'all were watching it, and it was about to get to that fight scene, and I'm like, what the heck? And I just sat
finished
down.
it off.
No, I'm so glad I did. It's amazing.
It was really good. Check out Daredevil season 3.
Or the whole show,
or season 3 too. Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and to be endorsed by the writer director of The Last Jedi, Mr. Rian Johnson.
Mister.
You know, he's got a movie coming out in a couple months.
That's true.
He's doing a lot of press and stuff. So I got on the cover of Empire magazine and everything else.
Maybe
So
we
anyway,
could help him with that.
and he's starting to talk a lot about Star Wars again.
Huh.
He hasn't been talking about that for a few years.
We should ask him why.
Well, we don't get that opportunity, and maybe Alden Diaz did, but we'll talk about that in a second. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation, that there is a story. It is written on our souls, and these myths speak to that story, and that is why we talk about Star Wars and Marvel and DC and The Lord of the Rings.
Finally. Go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all the other epic franchises that we all love so much. I am David. I am the dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hello, gentlemen. I'm honored to be joined every week by my two amazing sons. BB Nate, what do you got going?
Sadly, we will not be having as many DC movies coming up pretty soon here. Only one for the rest of this year.
Yeah,
Dang,
it'll be a good
crazy.
one, though. They're hyping that one
I'm
up
excited.
big. We'll see on that.
Yeah.
Shmuley, what do you got going?
Yeah, Amazon decided to be nice and give us yet another trailer for The Rings of Power last week.
The Rings of Power.
So I was pretty exciting.
Just 2 days before it'll start.
I can't wait.
Are we sure it confirmed that it's
It's
premiering at 8 p.m.?
Yep.
We're confirmed on
that.
We've confirmed
social
that
medias have told us because they're trying to do a whole big glable release.
Okay, they are doing that.
So they are.
They're going to break the internet is what they're going to do.
That's what they're hoping to do.
I think
they're hoping to do what House of Dragon did.
Let's hope it does. Yeah. Did you guys know that the Andor series announced in November of 2018 is not the same Andor series that we're getting next month?
What? You're going to have to tell us more about that later.
I'm genuinely confused.
I know. We'll talk about that. But if you're listening to this show for the first time, we want to thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. If you're a returning listener, because that's what listeners do. They listen.
They return to listen.
And they return to listen.
Yes.
So they're returning listening learners.
Wow, you're having a tough time today.
Get the words out today. Thank you for listening to the show. Please follow the show on whatever podcast app that you are currently listening to us, because you're a listener that's listening.
Very good.
Because that's what listeners do.
Curious to see how you're going to do the whole let's talk about what we're talking about.
I'm not even sure I'm going to get it out. But we more announcement. You know, every time you think Potathon 2022 can't get any better, Potathon, it gets better.
Yikes.
September 17th, it begins at 9 a.m. Eastern. We've already talked about a whole slew of amazing guests. Ryan Johnson's going to be on Octu Radio. Who knows? Maybe he makes his announcement of when his trilogy is starting to start shooting. That would be cool. I haven't seen the video, so I have no idea. I know people have seen the video. No one has teased that, so please don't send me nasty tweets if that doesn't happen.
Or please, if it does happen.
Feel free to send me all the nasty tweets that you want if it does, because we'll be thrilled. Yeah, he's going to be on Octu Radio to close out the thing. Seth Green from Robot Chicken and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I cannot get my words out. Austin Powers, The Italian Job, and a bunch of episodes in the Clone Wars. He was there. Of course, Christopher Sean's going to be our guest. We're going to be the first guest of the day. Will be on our show. We've got Kristen Baver from This Week in Star Wars. She's going to be on Tarkin's Top Shelf. Gary Whitta from one of the story writers for Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Okay, movie.
Great movie. We saw it just recently in IMAX. It was awesome. Charles Soule wrote a bunch of the High Republic stuff and Marvel comics.
Darth Vader comic series.
Yeah. Kelly Knox, author of Be More Obi-Wan and Star Wars Every Day. Zoraida Cordova, author of Star Wars A Crash of Fate and some Clone Wars stuff, Stories of Light and Dark. Mike Chen, author of Star Wars Brotherhood, and from a certain point of view, the Empire Strikes Back version was there.
Yeah.
Of course, Matt Martin, senior creative executive from Lucasfilm Story Group. We announced all those last week.
Right. Yeah, that's not new.
We have more announcements.
Goodness.
This week. We have Shelby Young. If you don't know who Shelby I cannot speak. Shelby Young is, you've heard her. She's a bunch of different voices, primarily the voices of Princess Leia.
You know what's funny is I was scrolling through shorts on YouTube, and I think a video of her came up. I totally didn't connect that was her, but when you had mentioned her later, I remembered that was her. So that's kind of cool.
So she does Princess Leia and all the Lego Star Wars stuff, the Skywalker Saga, Summer Vacation, all of that. And then we also have Christina Ariel. She is an actress and the host of Star Wars, The High Republic Show on StarWars.com. Nice. And then Beth Ravis, author of Star Wars, The Princess and the Scoundrel, which is a #1 best-selling, or on the New York Times bestseller list right now.
That's huge.
Variety released a photo today of what
the wedding dress,
of Princess Leia would look like.
I haven't seen it. Now, Hoth booths, and
I will tell you right now, the cosplayers are going nuts. But she also wrote Rebel Rising. Folks, Rebel Rising, if you're a fan of Rogue One and you're excited about Andor, the thing you want to check out in that interim period for the next few weeks is this book, Rebel Rising. It is fantastic. It is literally, I was telling you guys about it after we watched it, Rogue One the other night.
Yeah.
It picks up from the moment that Saw Gerrera rescues Jyn on, what's the planet? What's the planet? When she's a little girl.
Well, yeah, I know what it is. But
okay. Anyway, she rescues her on the little as a little girl on the planet. He rescues her up until the moment she's in prison.
Right.
At the opening of Rogue One. That period in between, that's the book, and it's fantastic. And Saw Gerrera is a fascinating character. So very excited about those people. Make sure you check out. Just go to thepotathon.com and get all the details on that. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you donate.
Yeah.
We donated.
Yeah.
We donated this week. Awesome. Yeah, we made a gift to it. We want you guys to donate, so go to thepotathon.com and do that. All right, enough talking about what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about what we're talking about.
Hey, he did it. Yay.
Even with a tongue-tied night.
Wow, all right.
Tang got tungled.
Yeah.
What?
Exactly.
My turn?
Yeah, go.
All right, so
save us, please.
So Warner Brothers Discovery is at it again with some significant delays, of blockbuster movies, but could they mean more than we think? Let's speculate a little bit.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
That man has no limits.
Really? What's it up? So this is good.
This is great
DC
news.
content.
I know, it's crazy. October 21st.
For what are we talking about?
Gotham Knights.
Okay, that's
well,
good.
yes.
Have you pre-ordered it yet?
I have not.
Come on,
I need
dude.
to. Okay, I'm going to. Okay, but
Kind of waiting for Christopher Sean to send us a free copy.
Yeah, for real. But no, I'm kidding. But we also got some confirmation on a few of the other villains. We have Harley Quinn, Mr. Freeze, and Clayface are going to be some of the villains in there. Yeah, Clayface is definitely the actor version of himself. He's referencing movies and stuff
That's
like
cool.
that.
Interesting.
So it's super exciting.
And you guys have got me into the, what was it, Batman?
Unburied.
Unburied.
And
Spotify. What do you think?
Did you guys not know that was Sam Witwer?
I did.
Witwer?
You didn't?
That was the Harvester?
Yeah.
Nope.
Wow. Yeah, it was Sam Witwer.
No
clue.
I listened. I was finishing eating breakfast and it was letting the credits play and it said Sam Witwer and I'm like, what? And so I listened.
What episode are you on?
I think I'm.
Better not say episode at 7.
I'm past 7, I think.
Dang it!
Yeah, so
I need to finish it, but I don't like sit down and listen to audio dramas.
All right, we need to talk about some of the stuff that we're supposed to talk about.
Yeah, so Warner Brothers Discovery has delayed more DC stuff. They've also moved a couple movies that were supposed to be HBO Max exclusives to theaters. So they're definitely keeping their promise of focusing on theatrical, which is good for them. That's exciting, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here DC. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is now delayed till March 17th of 2023.
So for my birthday week?
Yes, but that's where Aquaman was going to be, so they just wanted to move it to your birthday week.
That's better for me.
Yes. It was delayed to not conflict with Avatar 2 and Black Panther 2, since it wouldn't get any IMAX screens or premium formats, and the director really kind of didn't want that. But at least
that's fair.
That's the excuse that was given. So
makes sense to me. But Dad, could be maybe something else. I don't know.
Dad, this is kind of your DC movie. Are you sad to see it delayed?
Will
it be a Christmas movie anymore?
No, it wasn't supposed to be a Christmas movie.
I know, but it was going to be released during Christmas. So.
Yeah, it was. But the first one was a Christmas movie that wasn't released at Christmas.
Yes, exactly.
So it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Exactly. am I disappointed? Kinda, but there's so much coming on at the end of this year, and the rationale that they used at least makes good sense. And now, as I kind of said while you were explaining the date, that's my birthday. So, I mean, we'll go before my birthday, but
we'll go opening night.
Yeah, but we'll go probably the 16th.
Now, the real question is, do you think Mom will go to see this?
I do.
She did see the first one.
She likes Shazam.
She enjoyed the first one.
She enjoys Shazam. So I think she'll go there. She likes Zachary
this.
Levi. She likes the Shazam movie.
She likes the family aspect. Yeah, I think she'll enjoy it. But Sam, do you think it was a good idea to delay it with all the stuff coming up?
I do. While it's a big movie and I'm excited for it, and Shazam 1 got pretty good.
It did pretty good.
It was received pretty well. It would not be able to compete well up against Black Panther 2 and Avatar 2. I mean, those are going to have a way bigger draw at this point. So I think this was a good choice. You bring it back a little bit and let it have its own time to shine. Much like Top Gun Maverick. And it worked, obviously, as we've seen,
they did
really
delay it.
well for that movie. So I think this was the right decision in the end. While I'm a little disappointed, I think ultimately it's for the best.
It's a good idea, but I am sad to see it delayed. I was looking forward to that. But Aquaman 2 is now delayed till December 25th, Christmas, Mom's birthday.
She's not going to go see that on her birthday.
Due to, and I quote, production delays.
That's the most
That's
the most ominous, vague. Exactly. I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
So Sam, this is kind of a statement for all of us, but you weren't a huge fan of the first Aquaman. So will you be checking this one out?
I mean, the first Aquaman was okay. It was so boring and predictable.
It was better than Eternals, though.
Oh yeah, that's not hard to do. but it was not my favorite. But I will check out Aquaman 2. I still want to see it. I'm honestly still rooting the DCEU on. I want it to do well. And with the fact that I know we're getting Batman in this to some extent, that's exciting. Honestly, I like Batman and I like Batfleck. So
wait, hold up.
Well, I think he's a cool character. I just don't like the fact that he kills in Batman v Superman. But otherwise, I think he's a pretty good Batman.
Yeah, all right.
And I'm excited. I always like seeing more Batman in the movies. So I'm excited for that. So yeah, I'll check it out.
I mean, I walked out of the first Aquaman feeling the same way I did with Avatar. Visually stunning, but it was just meh.
Yeah.
It was predictable. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this next one's going to be good because, I mean, it doesn't deal with the trench anymore, I don't think. But it should be fun still. The
trench?
It's like weird.
Do you think the production... Okay,
I touch on this later.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dad, any thoughts as to why they really delayed this? This is really where you'll be able to come out and say what you want.
Can I say what I really want to say?
Yeah, you can say what
I think there's two reasons that they delayed this.
They got to reshoot Amber Heard scenes.
Honestly,
that's one of them. I think they're taking her out of this thing.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
And I think that's a major reason for this to be delayed well over a year. From now, that's a lot. I think they're bringing in Ben Affleck, which I know you guys just got done talking about, and that's fine.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit.
They're going to bring that in. I think there's a pretty significant reason potentially why they could be bringing him in. So I think all of that to me signals that what they said about delaying or about they're going all in on the DCEU seems to be the reasons behind this.
The curious thing is that they did not move the Flash at all. They had that stay weird. Where it is.
But the test screenings
are absolutely stunning. I mean, it has the highest score of any DCEU movie, which is crazy.
When is that scheduled now to be released? Because it was already delayed.
I'm not sure. I think it's April or something. So
April 23?
No. Why did you think April 23rd?
Or no, April 2023.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, April 23rd.
June 23rd, 2023.
Okay.
So yeah, that's going to be. They did not move,
but they don't have to take out an entire character as long as Ezra Miller is getting through the issues
working
that
through
he's
his
going
issues,
through.
Yeah.
They're not going to have to take an entire character out of it.
It'd be kind of tough to take the Flash out of the Flash movie too.
Yes, that's true. But let's just speculate for a little bit.
We already kind of are.
Well, yes. It was actually rumored this week that Henry Cavill was seen around the area where they're filming Shazam 2. So any thoughts on this? Do you think we see Superman in Shazam 2 or even Black Adam?
I don't think we see him in Black. Well, okay. First off, I guess I don't even understand this. Maybe this is just my lack of paying attention. But who's the bad guy in the Black Adam movie? Do we know who the antagonists are?
No, I don't think so.
Interesting.
Isn't Dr. Fate the bad guy?
No, Dr. Fate's a good guy.
I don't know nothing.
Dr. Fate's a good guy.
I don't think it could be Superman, but I don't know. Maybe it could be interesting. Anyway, I don't know if we see Superman and Black Adam because pretty much anytime you see Superman and Black Adam together, they're going at it.
Oh, no. No.
I thought I only remember seeing them fight.
I understand that, but Black Adam is definitely becomes a good guy, anti-hero more along the lines. I mean, even if we talk about the Dark Crisis stuff that we've seen, he joins the Justice League at one point.
Okay.
So he's a good guy. He stands along Superman and fights with him. So
they could bring him in sort of as a good
Fury
guy. And then twist him to be a bad guy later in order for him to battle Superman at another movie or something like that.
They could.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a possibility, but I don't think we see him in Black Adam.
If we see him in Black Adam, we see him in an end credits.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
That's the only way you can do it. You can't put him in the main stuff. You can't have long scenes with him because they can't film a ton of stuff with him now.
And it not be obvious.
And not be obvious. So they have to put him in a soundstage, in a bunch of green screen without anybody knowing.
Zack Snyder's backyard.
Yeah, Zack Snyder's back, or a Zoom call, which they did with Ezra Miller.
Too, yeah.
For
had him act
the Snyder cut. Yes, the Zoom call, the nightmare scenes with the Flash. Ezra Miller was doing a Zoom call, and that's how they filmed it.
That's impressive.
But you can do anything like that, and just have him show up just a little bit in this movie, and then big old tease for Shazam, and then the DCU kind of has a little bit of a fire.
I think that's what they do. They bring him in as a post credit scene, and then you start getting some stuff with him in Shazam too. And that's where they're setting up what could happen in the future.
Yes, I agree. But as we were saying, Ben Affleck is returning as Batman, which is a huge deal. But it could also be a big part of why these are delayed, because he has to film scenes for Aquaman 2. So do you think we see Batman in Shazam 2? Or heck, we could see him in a post-credit scene for Black Adam?
If anything, I think it would be Shazam 2 as like a kind of joking little cameo at the end, kind of like what they did with Superman at the end of the first
Shazam. Show his face.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't even need to do that. I'm just saying, like, you keep it like that feel, for Billy's friend. I don't remember his name.
Oh, no, I don't remember.
Oh, man. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Who's the big Batman fan? He's got the Batarang and stuff. You have him show up at the end there as kind of like a little joke. I think that would work well, but I don't think it would fit well in Black Adam if you're going to have Superman in there. It just gets a little much. So if anything, just Shazam too.
What if you have the Trinity? The Justice League Trinity. You have Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman going up to Black Adam and talking about him about the Justice League.
The Justice League initiative.
Having him be the next first Justice League member after the Justice League movie, whichever one they decide to make canon.
That would be cool. I would like that.
That would be.
Here's the thing.
I'd freak out.
And I say this with all due respect, Mr. Johnson.
Dwayne. Oh, I was like, Ryan.
Dwayne Johnson's ego is just big enough that could happen.
I know it is.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I mean, he put in Black Adam in Super Pets. Like, what?
Right, just because he wanted to.
Just because he could. Spoilers, but like, for real, like that's crazy.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know. So more?
What about, I mean, there's so much other stuff that's going on right now in the Warner Brothers thing.
Didn't they cancel that Cape Crusader?
No.
It's
don't
being
believe
shopped.
this.
It's being shopped to other people.
It's still in production. Studios, don't believe all those clickbait articles, because they're really taking advantage of that. It's still in production right now. It's just the 3 places that are looking at it are Hulu, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix right now.
Okay,
yeah, it'll end up on one of those. No, I'm talking about who is it? Dan Lin that they're talking about?
Yeah, he might become the owner and the head of DC and the films, the Kevin Feige of
DC,
and that's not a bad thing. He did the Sherlock Holmes movies. He worked on those.
Those are great movies.
And he was going to do the Justice League. I forget what the name of it was going to be, but Justice League Mortal, I think is what it was. Live action movie that had a lot of great names in it, and it honestly looked really good. But then it was chopped, and he loves DC, and he's like, I never got to work on a DC
He said
film.
This is the one that got away,
and so he decided to work on Lego Batman movie as his DC film, because he's like, I just wanted to have a fun DC film. He's like, I'd love to work on more. So I like this guy. He wants to work with DC. He knows what he's doing.
He has a love and a passion for it.
He knows what he's doing with movies. He's done it for a long time, and I feel like he knows how we could finally have the DCEU back.
I think having one person that loves the DC universe that can come in there and guide the ship is going to be what they need to do. And I do think that what they told us 4 weeks ago or so now, that Warner Brothers is going to go all in on DC, is the reason behind these things. They know they've got one shot to get these things right. They're not getting another chance. They have to get it correct, and that's what they're deciding to do. And then bringing in Dan Lin as part of that is going to be a big part of it.
So any final crazy speculation on what else we could see in Flash or Black Adam or Shazam or Aquaman? And I think that's all.
I think it'd be cool if in the Flash somehow they brought in a Terry McGinnis somehow.
That would be cool.
Kind of Michael Uslan sort of suggested that that's a possibility. Yeah. He talked about how Michael Keaton could play
a great old Bruce,
the old Bruce Wayne.
So
he's playing old Bruce
Beyond.
I think somehow just briefly you see a Terry McGinnis, a live action Batman Beyond. That'd be pretty freaking cool. I think
you throw a lot
Christian
of
Bale,
cameo.
Ooh, that'd be
too many. I think that my only concern with the DCEU going forward is the multiverse itself.
Yeah.
But the thing is you can't have, like, you can have Marvel, like they showed for 10 years without the multiverse. You could always have Marvel without the multiverse. You can't with DC. It is such an important aspect of the storylines and everything. Like, there are characters consistently on other Earths. Comic lines are taking place on other Earths consistently. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
and so you can't do it. And I feel like introducing it early is a good idea. I think introducing it with the Flash is the best way to do it because he, the whole Speed Force and everything works.
Well, and then we didn't even talk about the fact that Matt Reeves has basically been given carte blanche.
He is.
Yeah, that's really encouraging.
He has a first look deal with Warner Brothers for I think like 10 years or something like that.
Wow.
So that means he's going to be making a lot, and so that means TV shows and films and all that.
He's expressed that he really wants to continue this Batman story, right?
Yes, he does.
This Batman universe is something that's going to continue.
It is.
Well, good, because it made them a lot of money, and it will make them a lot more.
And it was a good story.
It was awesome.
Let's watch it again. All right.
I agree.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we just have to wait and see what happens with DC now. But overall, I am hopeful.
That's the right word.
For the future of DC and Warner Brothers Discovery.
Very good.
Good segment. Good segment, BB Nate. You did a good job. All right. Well, it's time for another look at a random article on Wikipedia. The algorithm didn't do the Suns any favors.
Oh, great.
This week.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right. So if you're new to the show, or maybe not new to the show, maybe you feel like
getting a sense of deja vu.
It's deja vu.
Yeah.
Maybe you've already recorded this segment, but it didn't record it, and then had to come up with a whole new item for it.
Yeah, because we already knew the answer.
And not only did you have to come up with a whole new item for it, which was a great discussion, by the way, guys. You guys
It was
did a good
good
job on the last one. Maybe we'll bring that back sometime.
Somehow.
But you had to make it match up with what happened at the end of the last segment when you teased this.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yeah.
So that was a challenge. So we'll see how this works. But here's how it works. All right. I give a description of something I found on Wikipedia after hitting the random article button. And then these guys make an argument for whether they think it's canon or legends and why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The why is going to be really critical on this one.
Okay. We're ready.
And I've got to be really careful because there's not much more I can say about this than the title.
Okay. Oh, the title. That's all we get.
The item itself.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Not a lot to go off of.
Star Wars Project Porg.
Okay, wasn't this a VR game?
Okay. I'm going to let you guys go.
Huh? I could have sworn that we had a Porg VR game at one point called Project Porg.
That sounds... What would you do? Was it like
you took care of a Porg? It was a Tamagotchi pet, but a Porg.
Oh my gosh, I remember that now. You're right.
But was it Project Porg? I feel like it was.
I think it was.
But I don't remember if it was canon or not.
That's the key. Is it canon or is it not canon, and why?
I feel like this is too obvious to put it in here if it's canon.
Well,
but then you might want to.
Turbis the Porg is canon.
This is true.
Yes.
You could have put him in one.
But video games have this weird area they kind of can operate in because players have free choice. So it's like, what exactly in the game is canon, right? Like, not every action your character does is going to be canon, and that's just ridiculous.
Like Tales of the Galaxy's Edge,
right? But
Vader
I think the overall story is still canon in those, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, what was it? That Secrets of the Empire thing that we did, the VR experience at like downtown. That was canon and stuff too.
That had Andor in it.
It did, and I
did
K2.
Yeah.
It did. You're right. So
shot.
I don't know if this is just a Tamagotchi thing. What story is there to make canon?
There's C-3PO and all that stuff in it.
That's fine, but there are also C-3PO and stuff in Force Unleashed. So I'm going to go...
But Force Unleashed came out before the Disney era, so it doesn't count.
I get that, but you can't say that this is canon because it has those characters.
So are you saying Legends?
I don't know. I don't think there's any story to make canon.
So you think it's Legends?
I'm gonna guess sort of Legends. Yeah.
I guess I can. I'm gonna go just canon because I don't think that there's enough in it to make it Legends. I think that this is like, fair. Oh, okay. Well, this could be canon. It very well it fits. Just like Visions, what we did with Visions, they haven't confirmed that that's Legends or canon yet.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
So Star Wars Project Porg is a Star Wars mixed reality experience created by Lucasfilm's immersive entertainment studio ILMX Lab for the Magic Leap platform. The experience allows people to play with and raise a small family of porgs.
Wow, you called it, Nate. Good job.
Assisted by C-3PO.
I know my porgs. But I don't
when
know
was this announced? Was
2018.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't remember if this is canon or not.
And then it came out 2019. So
okay,
or it was updated, I think, in 2019.
Okay,
it's officially listed as non-canon. So it's not Legends because it's not the Legends era. You can't call it Legends.
Right. Well, yeah.
So it's not.
That's why I said a sort of Legends.
With it, that was a weird one. With it in the experience, C-3PO drops off a baby Porg, much like an old school Tamagotchi or Neopet. You can take care of the Porg, play fetch, feed it, and help it raise baby Porgs too.
Gosh,
and yes, there is a laser pointer, and apparently Porgs love to chase laser pointers.
Okay,
as
why
much
don't
as
I
cats.
have this?
Yeah, I know, right?
Amazing.
That's so
How
cool.
much is a magic leaps?
I bet you can get it pretty cheap now.
I'm doing it
as the technology has changed for it.
Yeah.
Well, that was a
interesting one. For sure.
A surprisingly pleasant twist of the Force.
Yes. Yeah.
With that. All right, Sam.
That's me.
You've been waiting for years.
Literally.
For this opportunity.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, Amazon dropped a new trailer about a week ago for the Rings of Power, and we haven't gotten a good chance to talk about it yet. So what better time to remedy that than just before the series' release this week?
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
You're coming to us. Is as the footsteps of doom.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
And J.R.R. Tolkien is rolling over in his grave.
Just doing like barrel rolls after barrel rolls. Yeah,
Absolutely.
In fact, I want to read a few of these reviews real
go
quick.
for it.
First one is from Stephen Weintraub.
Frosty.
Yeah, Frosty. He was at the IMAX premiere.
He's the one that made the decision we could go.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so he has a special place in our heart. But his review says, I've seen the first 2 episodes of Prime Video's Lord of the Rings series. Prepare to be blown away by the scale and scope of Rings of Power. I don't know how they managed to pull this off, but they made a Lord of the Rings show that feels like Lord of the Rings. Everything about this series is incredible, from the cinematography to the costumes to the movie quality sets, and of course the cast. Nice. Get ready for something special. I cannot wait to see more. Start streaming September 2nd. And there's a whole bunch of reviews on this article talking about how most of them mention something about the incredible visuals, how it feels cinematic, and how it sets up a great story and feels like it could fit next to Jackson's films. So
nice. Good.
Very encouraging in my opinion.
Soundtrack is good. We listened to that a little bit
the
this
soundtrack
weekend.
is phenomenal. I keep listening to it over and over again, but it is amazing. Anyway, I want to talk about a few things from the latest trailer we got, which was a surprise. I did not realize we were going to be getting another trailer, so
but we did.
I was very excited for that. But one thing that I thought was the biggest takeaway and pretty important is we kind of have some motivation and movement for the series, right? Galadriel's motivation has been revealed in this latest trailer. Her brother Finrod was killed by the forces of evil, and now Galadriel wants to avenge her brother's death. There's a lot of me quoting from an article here in this.
And it's all Collider.
And it's all Collider because they had a great article.
And they're awesome.
I wanted to give them credit. Sometimes. So, most of the time.
Most of the
time. But they said, in the source material, Finrod dueled with Sauron himself and ultimately died in Sauron's fortress of Tolingoroth.
All right.
Yeah. You know, Tolkien and his weird names. So, and then the battle scene in the trailer, which has been a part of a number of the promos before, is likely the Dagor Bragollach or the Battle of Sudden Flame, when Morgoth struck with rivers of fire from the fortress of Thangordrim. Man, I did this
stuff, but you can't say it.
I did this to myself, so I can't be upset at anyone. And sent forth the first of the great dragons of Middle Earth. Finrod was nearly killed in this battle, but was saved by a mortal man, Barahir. In gratitude, he gave Barahir his personal ring, which ended up being passed on from generation to generation until it ended up in the hands of Barahir's descendant, Aragorn, and became a sign of nobility of his lineage, which I thought was very interesting.
The ring he wears on his pinky? And
I think so.
It's got a little pinky ring.
But I think so.
Yeah.
Now, what do you guys think of the fact that Galadriel seems to be the main character of the series? I think there was some rumors going around that it was going to be Nori, was it Brandyfoot?
No.
But now it's pretty much confirmed that it's Galadriel. And what do you think of her motivation?
Makes sense, and I like it. It works. The whole evil in her fighting it, and her fighting it for many, many years, and kind of just exhausting herself. And even Elrond's like, you need to chill out for a little bit. You've been going a lot. But no, she seems great. I mean, she seemed like how she was in the books before Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. She's a warrior, and that's what Tolkien wanted her to be. And so that really works well. I'm super excited to see it. I cannot wait. She's gonna be a great character.
She's such a central character, especially in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
Like, there's this moment where you're like, there's so much more to this character than we're getting in this. Everyone's thoughts on her, the battle between the elves and dwarves, all of these types of things are critical. So I feel like this is going to add so much more depth to the character we get in the Jackson movies as a result of it. So I'm totally okay with that. Yeah, I think I'm excited about it.
Do you think that they keep this same story, or roughly this same story, for her brother Finrod? With him fighting Sauron and getting him imprisoned and stuff.
I think that they can do that, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think. I mean, we see him killed in battle.
We actually don't see him killed.
Well,
I watched it.
He's dead.
No, well, you see him dead later, but in the battle, he looks like he's almost being pushed and carried away by a bunch of orcs.
But yeah, so, we see him dead later on.
No, he dies, yes.
And that's the motivation for Galadriel to fight evil. Right. I mean, it kind of just all makes sense. They could just be doing some good old misdirection like they do in basically every trailer. But I'm not 100% sure that that'll be it. But I feel like there is a good chance that we will see the whole Barahir stuff and the Aragorn and everything. So
interesting.
I do think that they're going to try to hold the big moments as closely to the story as possible, and then let the secondary things in the timelines and such, perhaps those play out differently. Yeah. But they want to keep the big moments.
I mean, there's a reason why we haven't seen, or we think we haven't seen Sauron in any of the trailers. Right? I mean, we know he's in it. Soundtrack reveals that, but we haven't explicitly seen him very much. Do you hope to see the story about Aragorn's ring in this?
I do.
Oh yeah,
I do. I think anything that helps add depth to the Jackson films and ties into it is going to make this a better series.
Do you think that them putting this in this series basically confirms that it's connected to the Jackson trilogy?
They confirmed it's not going to be.
They confirmed that.
At least that's what I've heard. From places said that it's going to be its own story, and it's going to be set outside of what we've seen before. So,
well, yeah, but it is set outside of what we've seen before, and it is its own story.
They're very vague, and some people are saying it's not going to be connected with the Jackson movies. But I have seen some people say that if they wanted to, from the episodes that they've seen, it could fit. So
I think that there's
maybe not.
There's a legal issue that they may have to balance, where they can't say it's connected to the Jackson movies, because if they do say it's connected to the Jackson movies, then they're going to have to pay Peter Jackson some copyrights to things. But if they want it to, if they leave it vague enough, then it'll work.
That's fair. Yeah.
So
the next point I got from this trailer is this is no chance meeting, right? Galadriel talks about how everyone being there, Durin and the stranger, and there's that other guy, I don't remember his name, but the main fellowship. Is there by no chance meeting. The article stated this line itself is very reminiscent of the Lord of the Rings books. One of the major underlying themes of the story is the periodic subtle influence of a sort of divine providence that shapes some encounters of the story. Do you think this should put some fans' minds at ease, knowing that maybe Amazon is actually staying true to the source material?
I think that every critic's review, everything that we've seen seems to confirm that the fan overreaction based on rumor and innuendo and fear was almost certainly overkill, which doesn't mean that there won't be severe backlash, that you're going to have those guys that are going to be the actuallys, and they're going to be the ones that try to come up with all the reasons why this doesn't work, and that's fine. They did the same thing with Peter Jackson's movies when they came out.
That's true.
The reality is you're never going to be able to take Tolkien and move it strictly directly over to the film and it work. And it's the same thing with this. As long as it feels like Lord of the Rings, it feels like Tolkien, it works. And I think that's what we're going to see with this.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've seen some people say that they were very nervous as being Tolkien fans. I saw somebody say that they actually are one of the Tolkien scholars that did not work on this, but they are a Tolkien scholar.
Wow.
They've been a lot. Then they're like, this is very true to what he did.
That's
far.
really
They're
cool.
like, it's really good. They're like, I was very worried because they're like, in my friend group and other people I know, I'm a super fan of Tolkien. Nobody is even close to my knowledge of the Lord of the Rings and everything. They're like, and this did well with it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think they'll be good.
Yeah. Now, at this point in the Lord of the Rings timeline, now I'm no Tolkien expert, so this is just based on my little research. But based on the stories we should be seeing in this series, there are many divine things that occur, like the sinking of Numenor and the entire reshaping of Arda by Eru Ilúvatar, which if you don't know who that is, it's basically God. It is God.
Okay.
And both of those things are basically Eru Ilúvatar, like he does those things directly.
Divine intervention.
Yes, like there's no doubt about it. It's like biblical. But do you think it's important that they keep this divine influence in the show? And why do you think that's important for Lord of the Rings?
I think it is important that they keep it in here. I don't think that we have to remember that Tolkien made it very clear this is not an allegory. It is not the same as what you experience with the Chronicles of Narnia and everything in C.S. Lewis's, which was much more of an allegory, and it was intentionally so. This one is not. But the reality is this story is just completely infused with Tolkien's worldview. And Tolkien's worldview is a worldview that involves the divine and a supernatural God and a supernatural evil and common people being thrown in the midst of it and spiritual warfare taking place in a physical space and all of these things. And those are important to make this, again, it's not about being directly connected to Tolkien's books. This has to feel like Tolkien.
Yeah.
And it won't feel like Tolkien without that.
I agree.
I think that it is important to keep this stuff in there because it's what made kind of the movies good. And I can't speak for the book since I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure it's what made the book good too, because that's just what Tolkien intended. And so I think to keep that in here, and just judging from the trailer, I think that they will. And so I'm excited to see them keeping that importance in this series.
Yeah. What's interesting is I don't think there's a whole lot of that in the Lord of the Rings, either the movies or the book. And I probably might get crucified for this, but I think he wrote the Silmarillion after the Lord of the Rings. So it's interesting that more of that sort of spiritual worldview is visible in
his later
writings of the Silmarillion. So hopefully this series reflects that.
But it does remind me of how Lucas had backstory for Star Wars, and it may not have been exactly the way that the prequel trilogy came out.
Yeah.
But there was backstory, and the ideas and the mythologies that were behind Star Wars then creep in. And so what you have with this divine element and this supernatural element within Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and everything, it's present in Tolkien's thinking. And even if he didn't write it directly in, it was present in his thinking as he wrote the backstory or thought through the backstory of this.
That's true. Last little point I want to talk about is the stranger is only getting stranger. We get a little bit more of this character in the trailer. The stranger from the meteor is shown meeting the Harfoot Nori, and both of them are eventually cornered by some vicious-looking warg-like creatures, which is what I thought when I watched the trailer.
And you talk about this.
The prominent theory about the stranger seems to be that he's likely one of the Order of Wizards, and the trailer may support that interpretation. At one point, the stranger seems to be calling up some sort of wizardly power and whipping up the winds around him. Nate, you've kind of subscribed to this theory for a while. Why do you think this could be the case?
It's just everything's kind of pointing to it. He's very mysterious, and during the panel that they had, everybody was asking. It was a Q&A panel, and so people were asking about the stranger, and they were very, very vague, and they dodged it
ambiguous
a lot. They dodged those questions a lot, and I remember one of the people on the panel, I think the host was like, is it Gandalf? And they're like, well, we'll find out a lot about the stranger. And everything, and they were very vague about it, and even asked like during like the post panel Q&As online about it, and they're like, the stranger's a really interesting character, and we'll learn more about him and all this stuff, but they're just being super vague, and I think that is the case. It has to be a wizard.
Yeah, Dad, what do you think this character?
I have no idea, because I'm not even sure I know who the stranger is in the trailers.
He's the kind of homeless looking dude with like the
okay. I haven't,
you'd recognize him if you saw him.
I haven't analyzed these trailers like you guys have. I've watched them each like once or twice, so I'm not familiar. I'm sort of kind of going into this trying to be as unspoiled, uninfluenced as possible with it. So I'm hoping that, you know, even these conversations, I mean, this is the danger of having a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Right. You know, I mean, I don't get to be, I'm not blaming you guys, but I don't get to be surprised by that idea that it could be Gandalf. I'm kind of hoping that it is, because I'd love for that to be Gandalf. But at the same time, I'm trying not to go in like deciding what I want it to be. Yeah.
In my head canon, I don't actually think it's Gandalf. I think because I'm pretty sure if if I remember correctly in the Silmarillion and stuff, the Maiar, which are these creatures, took the form of wise old men to be more kind of like trusting. You know, people would trust a wise old man's advice more than
young.
Yeah, but he's not Gandalf old.
He's a little older than Dad. Love you, Dad. I'm sorry. It was right there.
But I don't think they age. So it would feel weird. So
maybe they just age slowly, because this is like 2,000 years or something.
They're basically angels. You realize that, right?
I know, but still.
All right. Well, before, you know, this is kind of Tatooine Sons tradition. Before a series, show, movie, whatever comes out, our podcast before we give predictions, sure to go wrong, where we go off the rails or maybe not so off the rails with what we expect to see in the whatever the media is. So
okay,
I want to get your guys' predictions.
This is going to be hard for me because I haven't dove into
it's going to be even hard for me too.
Probably a good thing. So I'm curious to see what y'all come up with.
I'm not sure. It's difficult because there's a lot that, like I said, there's a lot we don't know about this series. It's set 2,000 years before or something like that, before The Hobbit. I mean, that's something, and I haven't even read the books, which I need to. But I'm not 100% sure of what could happen in this series. I know that I am sure we will be getting a lot of, I think we will be seeing Morgoth a lot, more than we expect. I think that we'll be seeing that. I'm excited, and I think the big part is the creation of Balrog is going to be a huge part of this.
Now that's the you shall not pass.
Yeah.
Yes. Morgoth is basically basically Satan.
Yeah.
He's Sauron studied under Morgoth.
And I'm sure, I have a feeling that's either going to be at the end or something, because Numenor is a huge deal in this season. So that has to be at the end, like the whole Morgoth stuff dealing with Numenor and all that. So I think it's going to be a big deal, and I think we're going to be surprised by who it is and what it is and all that. I'm interested.
Yeah,
this is predictions sure to go wrong, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna predict that at some point in season 1, probably either it opens this way or it ends this way.
Okay,
you can only do it that way for this to work. You're going to get an old version of Samwise Gamgee, played by Sean Astin, telling this story to his children.
That would be pretty cool. I would love that.
You can't, though, because it's not related to Jackson's films.
That's going to be the big secret. They don't want that. They're being so secretive about this that they can't even connect it to the story, because if they do that, then it may tease that happens.
So I feel like that either has to happen at the beginning of the series or the end of the series.
Yeah, something
that's
like
exactly
that.
what.
Okay. That's end of the season. Okay, yeah, but you understand that.
No, I get your point. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's good.
Where that's how they connect it.
Yeah, I like that.
What about you?
You know, I put this on the thing, and I didn't think of my own little prediction. Sure to go wrong. I know. Man, I really do want to see some of the incredibly like massive battles that are told in the Silmarillion and stuff. I mean, the end of, I think it's the War of Wrath, which is what it opens up on. It ends by, I think it's oh my gosh, the name just completely Elrond. I think it's his dad like sacrifices himself and kills this massive black dragon. That's it. I mean,
That'd be cool.
Think Smaug, but like way bigger and way worse.
Wow.
I want to see some of those grandiose biblical stories that have been told. Epics. Yeah. I want to see some of that in this series, which I don't think it's too crazy.
No, I think you can pretty much expect to see something pretty epic in this.
So, but Rings of Power releases this Thursday. I, for one, am so excited. Much like Dad thinking he may never get Star Wars after the release of Episode 6, I never thought I would get more Lord of the Rings. So I can't wait to see more of Tolkien's works make their way to the big-ish screen.
It's going to be good.
Yes.
I agree.
There are some countries that they're actually showing the first 2 episodes in theaters.
No, same here. They're showing it here.
Are you serious?
We're just not in our area.
It's an hour and a half away is the closest one.
That's it?
When are they doing it?
August 31st.
Thursday night? Or Wednesday night?
Yeah, it's at the Cinemark. I think you have to be a member, but I mean, we can get a membership.
We can become a member. All right.
I mean, so Wednesday night, I don't
It's
have
a free
class.
screening.
I don't have class till like early that day. So yeah, no, we can make it work.
Yeah, you get the screening and like a $10 combo.
We'll talk about this offline. Maybe they're trying to make this happen. All right. Good job, Samuel Hutt.
Thank you.
Good job, Samuel.
You did a good job.
I feel like I need to read some. I need to actually at least read The Lord of the Rings at some point. I feel like to be an
Same
actual
here.
fan, you know?
Well, I'm glad you
like
enjoyed
imposter syndrome.
The films. That's okay. You know what? You're a fan, however your fandom expresses itself, and I think that's
Exactly.
important.
We aren't gatekeeping fandom here.
With this. We don't do that, right? With it, the actualies will. All right, we're heading back to the movies this weekend to see 2 all-time greats, and just so you know, you should take total advantage of Saturday's $3 tickets
100%.
for National Movie Day.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
All right, for newish releases this week.
Newish,
Yeah, newish.
new to me.
All right. Spider-Man No Way Home, the more fun stuff version.
I like the title.
Yes, me too.
You okay over there?
This new version of the film includes nearly 15 minutes worth of deleted scenes that weren't even included in the production's home release this past April, including a scene where Andrew Garfield's Peter 3 tells Tobey Maguire's Peter 2, "We should do this again," to which Maguire replies, "You got it."
Is that foreshadowing? Are they
Maybe.
coming back? Are we
Let's
getting a
hope so.
Spider-Verse?
Let's hope. The director is John Watts. The cast is Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Benedict Cumberbatch.
And some
I've heard of those people.
Studios, Marvel Studios. In
I think we
partnership
were
with
there
Sony.
when they walked the red carpet for this.
I think so.
I think so.
Feels weird to say that.
It does.
All right.
It is rated PG-13 for sequences of action, violence, some language, and brief suggestive comments. Yeah, we're going.
Yeah, we're going. We already got our tickets. All right.
This next one, Jaws.
That looks good too. That's
Yes,
a classic.
It is.
All right.
When a killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community off Cape Cod, it's up to a local sheriff, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer to hunt the beast down. The director is the genius Steven Spielberg.
That's right.
The cast is Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. The studio is Universal. It is rated PG.
We're going. We got tickets.
Yeah.
Why does the name Richard Dreyfuss sound so familiar?
Mr. Holland's Opus, American Graffiti, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and we saw his panel at Pensacon. The old guy.
Yeah, that would do it.
That's him.
Cool.
And a bunch of other really good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's
a genius.
All right.
What about Bob?
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
For movie news, $3 tickets nationwide on Saturday, September 3rd. So go see
to
No Way
the
Home.
movies.
Go
Yeah.
see Jaws. Go see those. Any format. So you can go to IMAX.
Any format, 3D. You could go see Jaws in IMAX, then turn around, spend $3 more and go see Jaws in 3D.
And then go see Spider-Man No Way Home. Have a date at the theaters. For trailers, Weird Al the Yankovic.
For $9,
Weird,
that's less than one ticket in most cases.
Yeah, Weird
Yeah,
the
that's
Al
pretty
Yankovic story.
Yeah.
Didn't watch the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I'm watch it though. It's free.
Daniel
You
Radcliffe.
didn't watch any of these trailers, did you?
No, I watched Empire of Light.
Did you? What'd you think about it?
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's a good director, Sam Mendes. He did Skyfall in 1917.
Yeah, those are good.
So, Spectre, one of those. I think they're both actually. So, I mean, it could be good, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Right.
For box office results, this was still.
It was a terrible weekend for the movies.
It was bad. The Invitation.
I mean, I've never seen, and all the time that we've been doing this segment, we've never seen anything close to
The
this.
Invitation's opening weekend made $7 million. Yikes! I'm sorry. Bullet Train made $5 million, which. Wow, that's even worse for The Invitation. That's in its like third weekend, and
It's
it
like,
almost made
it's like
what,
fourth weekend, I think.
and it almost made back what The Invitation made for its first
Yes.
weekend. And Beast with $4 million. That's sad. It's
Rogue One
third
did $1
place.
million.
Good for it. Mm-hmm. It's great.
That's not a lot though.
And speaking of Rogue One, Dad, Want to take it away?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Rogue
That's
One,
you.
It was a good transition.
Good job, Nate.
That was good. When we woke up last Friday morning, we weren't expecting to get the chance to see the IMAX re-release of Rogue One with the special sneak peek of Andor. But sometimes surprises happen.
Yes, they do.
And it was good. Let's talk about what we learned from that and some recent interviews about it next.
Wokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
Now, don't give like your reaction to seeing it in IMAX again or anything like that, but just, now that you watched, it's been, 6 years almost since this film came out? Gosh, that's been a long time. Thoughts on Rogue One after seeing it again? Not the reaction of seeing it in IMAX, but seeing the movie again. And what are your thoughts on the movie itself?
It's just a really good war movie. I mean, it's just a solid story. The way it moves,
Star Wars movie.
Yeah. But the way it moves, the way it introduces characters, the interactions between the characters, how they're also willing to give up anything for this cause and the desperation. I mean, it's just a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great movie. Like we said, I mean, seeing it again now, I love it more than I did when I first saw it. It's just, I really do enjoy this movie. I think it's well done, even though it went through all of the problems in its production with the reshoots and the changing and all that stuff. I think Bodhi's a fantastic character that they added in basically during the reshoots. Overall, I really like it. It's a really great movie.
And you get Borgullet.
Borgullet, yeah.
Borgullet.
See, I wonder if we'll see him in Andor.
That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be great.
I want to know where they just they found.
I think that like Andor's taken all the Imperials to Saw Gerrera, and Saw Gerrera's just like, we'll just get all the answers out of him through Borgullet. So anyway, all right. Seeing it in IMAX again. What's the experience like seeing it in IMAX again? I'll have you go first.
It was great because I mean it was a long time ago when I saw it in IMAX, so it's hard for me to remember that feeling. But it was great to see it in IMAX again. It is a beautiful film. The sound is fantastic in IMAX. It's something different seeing a Star Wars movie in theaters than at home. It always is. I mean, Rogue One
was fun to see Star Wars.
Rogue One, it's kind of like. When I see Rogue One, I'm like, when I watch it at home, I'm like, okay, I know this movie so well. But when I see it in theaters, I'm like, dang, this is just such a good movie.
Which then plays into our constant argument that you should not watch the big box office, massive film for the first time on TV.
No, it's such a bad idea.
So what was your thoughts on seeing it in IMAX again, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, first off, seeing it in a theater is always completely different, but IMAX is just a whole nother experience too. I mean, it really is a different movie. It feels like seeing it on just that massive screen really helped showcase some of the really good visuals. And again, I know we talked about it on the previous time we talked about Rogue One, but I mean, that CGI for Tarkin is
great,
crazy impressive. But yeah, the sound, I mean, everything hits harder when you see it in IMAX. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, they did before the actual movie played, we got a tiny little interview between Tony Gilroy, or conversation with Tony Gilroy and Diego Luna, talking about the production, talking about the story itself. Nothing that was really true. I don't think there was anything in their conversation that was over the top. New.
No, really.
Kind of what we expected from it. Then they gave us the clip. Now, the clip they had released a small portion of earlier that week into the general internet, through the Twitter
sphere
feed or whatever of Lucasfilm of Star Wars. They released that, and this was the longer version of it. In the new clip posted, they posted it on Star Wars Twitter. Cassian Andor talks to Luthen Rail, who's played by Stellan Skarsgård, in what looks like a very discreet location. And then in the clip, Skarsgård's Star Wars character, what did we say his name was? Luthen Rail. Yeah. He appears to be paying Cassian to steal from the Empire. However, he's not convinced that Cassian isn't just some sort of simple thief. And so Rail offers Andor another 1,000 credits just to explain how he managed to steal such a valuable item, which is like a little box of some
Yeah, we're not sure what it does yet.
From a heavily secure Imperial base. Cassian then explains that it's easy. You just have to act like you belong. And then he explains that the Empire's gotten so fat and satisfied. These are lines that we've heard in the trailer before this, but you're getting to see the context of those lines in this scene. And that, you know, the Empire can't even imagine that someone like Cassian would ever get into their house, is what he says. And then in the theater, when we saw the preview, the scene cuts away and then comes back to an extended battle sequence in that same location with with some Imperial soldiers or something like that. They look like a police force more than
it's kind of
they're not stormtroopers, or anything like that. And then Andor continues to risk his life to recover the item that he was trying to sell to Rael, and that was basically the scene, right? Was there anything else that happened that I missed?
No, that's about it.
Okay.
Well, Luthien talks about how he knew Andor's dad.
Oh, that's right. He does.
Yeah. So, and that really triggered Andor.
It did.
So that was right before it cut.
Some backstory is there.
Yeah.
So there's a connection between Rael and Andor's family, or backstory of some sort with it. What did you think about the whole scene, especially the extended version that we got to see?
Yeah, I really liked it. I think it's very promising for the show. If that's the sort of tone we get, just that kind of, there's this like desperation in the characters, but also this like drive that like we have to do something. There's just gotten completely out of hand. I love it. I love the dirty underbelly, underground feel to it. It's weird seeing Cassian in this place. You know, the sort of kind of like Ezra, the street rat thief kind of position. You don't expect that. You think of him as like a rebellion general in a way. So it was jarring, but makes me want to get more of that story.
He's Fulcrum. By the time we see him in Rogue One, he is the new Fulcrum, they say. They describe him in some extra literature as being Fulcrum.
Interesting.
With that. So he's a very different character in this scene.
Yes.
With that. What did you think about it, BBD?
I thought it was a great scene. The writing especially was well done. I love the interaction between Luthien and Cassian. I'm interested to see more of that. I think that this will be a great relationship between characters throughout this season and the series. I am a huge fan of the battle sequence that we got. It was action packed. It had a lot of even though we knew that they were both making it out, they're gonna survive. But it was well done and intense in its own right, and I'm very excited if that's the tone and that's the action we get from this series, which we saw in the trailers. It is what we're going to get. I'm super excited to see more of it.
It's interesting. Some more articles and interviews have come out in the last week about the series. I think that those were probably already sort of scheduled to come out last week before they decided to delay the show, because obviously the show was originally intended to come out tomorrow, August 31st. And so, I think that these were already slated interviews and already, conducted and things like that. But one of the things that we learned from this was sort of the backstory of how Tony Gilroy got involved. And when we originally learned about Andor, it was said that Alan Tudyk's K2SO from Rogue One would be a central character, which everybody was pretty excited about. In fact, I found didn't Diego Luna and him host a panel at Star Wars Celebration 19?
No, it wasn't Diego Luna. It was just Alan Tudyk.
Oh, it was just Alan Tudyk, but they were talking about this show.
They were
with that. That's right. So you got the feeling that was going to be critical, and now we know that he's not even going to show up in season 1. There's going to be no K2SO in this season, and this change actually took place after Tony Gilroy, who at the time the show was announced and everything, was never supposed to be a part of this. He wasn't even a part of the production of Andor, and he was actually sent a copy of the script that they had in development, and he didn't like the script at all. He said he describes it as sort of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in space with it, and that was going to be it's a Paul Newman, Robert Redford, a cowboy buddy western type movie. So it was going to be sort of the K2SO and Diego and Cassian sort of going through space as like cowboys and stuff like that. And he did not like it. So while he was still professing no interest in taking over or doing anything with Andor, Gilroy wrote what he describes as a long forensic manifesto. That's what his quote was.
Ouch.
Back to Lucasfilm, that not only outlined why he thought this approach wouldn't work, but what he thought that the studio should do instead. And his quote was, he says, it was such a crazy idea that he came up with. It was so radical and it was so out there. And this resulted in a complete overhaul in the series and Gilroy being brought on to lead it. Jeez. What do you think about the way that all happened, Nate, having heard that story now?
It must be good to just completely change Lucasfilm's mind on it.
Yeah.
And bring him in. Like, okay, this is a lot better than what we came up with. Yes, you're doing this series now. And so I'm super excited. Apparently, he has a lot of what he's wanting to do with this series, and he knows what he's going to. This is a passion project for him now. This isn't a whole situation where he was brought on to do it because he's a good director. No, he's doing what he wanted to do, a little fan fiction that he wrote, and now it's being brought to life. Like, that's crazy. That's every Star Wars fan's dream.
Cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, it kind of makes me wonder, man, what would we have gotten had he not decided to go out there and be like, this is horrible. I'm going to make my own story. Like, he took time out of his own life, not getting paid to do it, to write this whole exposition on why he thought what they did was bad and what he had was better. What would we be getting if that were the case?
It is crazy to think about that.
So, but I'm glad he did. I mean, from what we're seeing, it looks phenomenal. So
it's a lot better that happens on the very front end of something than kind of what happened with Rogue One, or especially what happened with Solo: A Star Wars Story, where in the middle of production they had to change everything, bring in a new director, new writers, all of that. They sort of had that happen in Rogue One, but it was more behind the scenes with that. Now, originally the show was supposed to be taking place over 5 seasons, and the original plan for him that he put out was for a 5-season series, with each season covering 1 year leading up to Rogue One. But it ended up taking them 2 years just to produce this first season, with 12 episodes covering that single year. And so, when Tony Gilroy was asked about it, his quote was, you just couldn't possibly physically make 5 years of this show. He says, I mean, Diego would be like 65. I'd be in a nursing home. We were panicked. We can't sign on to this forever. And so they made some changes. It was decided then to condense the remaining 4 years into one remaining season. So season 2 is going to be condensed dramatically with this. And they've already announced this. It's already beginning filming in November for that, which was fun being at Celebration because they hadn't told the crew. Or the cast. They hadn't told Diego Luna.
Diego was just
that
like,
they were doing this, and he's like, we're going to do 12 more seasons. Diego Luna's like, all right, I guess we are with this. Now, each of these 4 years that are remaining in the story are going to be condensed into 3-episode arcs with it, which is very similar to what we're used to as fans of like what happens in the Clone Wars animated series. You get those 3-episode arcs with that. In fact, Boris Kidd, who's a writer for The Hollywood Reporter, then went on to share that he was told that the events of the final arc, those final 3 episodes, literally lead directly into the events of Rogue One.
That's exciting. That's really exciting. I like how they're kind of keeping with the Rogue One theme. Rogue One led right up to episode 4. I like how this series will lead right up to Rogue One. So it further goes to kind of bridge that gap of time that we have between 3 and 4. Now you can, for an even more like smooth ramp up to episode 4, you can watch this and then straight into Rogue One and then straight into episode 4. I like how it's kind of becoming one whole story. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I don't know how it will feel to have 4 years condensed into 12 episodes, or a whole year condensed into a 3-episode arc. That might be a little dangerous since they decided to take their time with the first year.
As long as they don't have a droid arc, we should be okay.
No, we could have a droid arc.
We're probably going to get a droid arc, a K2SO arc.
But
with that,
I'm overall really excited. I have faith that they will do everything right with this show, and they know what they're doing. They're confident, and I know that Tony Gilroy is very excited to do this, and we know he's a good director. We love the Bourne movies. So
phenomenal movies.
We know he knows what he's doing. So I think we should have faith in it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. They've said also, Tony Gilroy this week said that this is designed, the way that he wrote this story was designed to be an entry point for new Star Wars fans.
Interesting.
To be so not tied to the Skywalkers, so not tied to the mythology and the Force and all of the backstories and all of those things that we as fans crave so much because we're so steeped in the story with it. I mean, we have a segment on here called Is it Canon or Legend? You know, I mean, so that's not the way we are. But for people that are looking, they're trying to bring into the Star Wars universe, this is designed to be the most real scenario story that they could put together, which then you connect them with the story and the characters and those types of things. And like you were saying, Sam, you go in from that straight into Rogue One, which then introduces the Death Star, introduces Tarkin, introduces Vader, introduces the Force,
talks about the Emperor.
Exactly. Then you can take them into Star Wars, the original film, or A New Hope.
Yeah.
And then you've got these people engaged in the Skywalker saga at that point. I think it could be really interesting.
It's Star Wars now. It's going to be what Star Wars is. It's going to be following the events leading up to A New Hope and building on that, which Rogue One did so fantastic.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, this week's dad moment was a little bit different. So all right, we'll see how it plays out.
I am your father.
All right, so throughout this week's entire show, we focused on 3 major franchises. Star Wars, of course, the DCEU and everything going on with that, and then The Lord of the Rings with it. What's interesting about all 3 of these topics is that they illustrate one of the most famous Yoda-isms in history. I'm not going to try to do it today as Yoda.
Thank you.
I'm tired and I don't think I can do it right. So anyway, difficult to see, always in motion is the future. After Luke Skywalker had his vision of Han and Leia on Cloud City, he asked the Jedi Master if the danger his friends were facing could be stopped. And Yoda told his young apprentice that the future is uncertain and it can't be predicted. His advice would probably be good for us to heed with this week's topics. The DCEU is in what appears to be chaos. Lots of hot takes are being thrown around about it. But maybe, just maybe, there's an actual plan being played out. Fans absolutely lost their minds over things like unbearded female dwarves in the Rings of Power. Coming out without waiting to actually see the show before rushing to judgment. And then, of course, with the Andor series, what was announced while we sat in the parking lot of Lucasfilm in November of 2018 isn't the same Andor that we're getting in a few weeks. The lesson behind all of this is that the future is unpredictable. And because of this, it's usually best to hold our expectations very loosely and let things play out a bit before jumping to conclusions.
It's a good idea.
With it. As far as tying up the segment here, Andor is just a little more than 3 weeks away until we get that special 3-episode release. Are you skipping school that day?
What day is it?
September 21st.
What day of the week is that?
I think it's Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, skip school. Okay.
Yeah,
skip
easy.
school. Not work.
Nah.
We'll just watch.
Yeah, it's fine.
We'll watch some Star Wars.
Yeah,
PV Nate, I'll talk
me.
Mom into letting you skip school.
Thank you.
Because you homeschool. And
Right.
you can get your school done before he wakes up in most cases. Anyway, it seems from what I can tell, Lucasfilm has a lot of confidence in what they're giving us. So I can't wait to see it for ourselves.
Yes, sir.
All right. I think that'll do it for that. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, She-Hulk Attorney at Law Easter egg teases Wolverine joining the
I think they're trying to tie it all together. They're bringing him in. They're just doing it slowly. It's going to happen. That's going to be good. All right, BB Nate.
The Rock shares imposing new image of Dr. Fate.
Yeah, did you like it?
It was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was
Dr. Fate does look pretty cool.
He's a good guy.
Awesome. He is a good guy.
I thought
he's
he was
like Doctor Strange.
I thought he was a villain.
No, he's a good guy.
He's like Doctor Strange.
One of his hosts is a Christian. So he's a good guy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Doctor Strange and Moon Knight.
Very cool.
Yes.
Bad Batch Season 2 is confirmed to be releasing on September 28th, which means it will release during the second week of episodes of Andor the same day.
Huh.
Any chance it's going to connect?
No, I don't think so.
That we see a tiny young Andor at some point
with like Omega.
With Omega.
That'd be kind of cool. I could see it.
I don't know.
I wouldn't mind it.
It would make a lot of the delays and changes and things make sense.
That's true, yeah.
With that. All right. That's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast.
Yes, if you had a good time listening, it would be awesome if you could share this with your friends.
Yeah, please. Share.
Please.
And of course, the show is only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world, so be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. and join our Facebook discussion group to get in on all of the action. Keep up to date with everything we've got going on, too, at TatooineSons.com.
That's right. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss our next episode. And then please give us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or whatever podcast you app. Exactly what they said. With that, I was just thinking about the fact that I was heartbroken this week when I found out that we no longer had 5 stars on Spotify.
Ouch.
We have 4.9. Somebody gave us a bad rating, and you don't get reviews, so you don't even know who they are, what they did, or what you did wrong.
That's sad.
So if you were one of those people that gave us a less than 5-star review on Spotify, Twitter, DM me and let me know.
We're not mad. We genuinely, we just want to know how to improve.
We're just disappointed. Okay.
Yeah. That's not it.
That's not exactly what
we just want to know how we can do better. Yeah. That's the whole point of reviews.
Absolutely. So. Anything else you guys would like to say?
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.